Eating disorders are escalating at an alarming rate, and who's affected the most? Women and girls. Recent studies and real-life situations show how people everywhere from all walks of life are facing this crisis and the urgent need for intervention. Here to talk more about this is Dr. Willow Jenkins, a pediatric psychiatrist at Rady Children's Hospital. Doctor, thanks so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me.
First of all, what should people know about eating disorders?
Well, I think eating disorders are so misunderstood, and people think it's just about food or it's a vanity illness, and that couldn't be further from the truth. Eating disorders are very complex mental health conditions, and there's really strong genetic links. So there's a lot more to why some people have them and some people don't.
Oh, that's interesting. I don't think I realized there are strong genetic links to it.
Yes.
I was just thinking behaviors. Maybe as a mom, would I talk about my own body and my body image in front of my daughter? But okay, that's interesting. Let's talk about how women and girls are so affected. And right now it's National Eating Disorders Awareness Week, and this year's theme is focusing really on women in their 40s, 50s, and beyond. It's not just little girls who are affected.
Well, I think this is such an important message that eating disorders really don't discriminate. Like you said, of course, women are affected, but men as well. 1 in 3 people with an eating disorder is actually a man. It doesn't matter your race, it doesn't matter your socioeconomic status, and it doesn't matter your body size. People think they can tell by looking at someone if they have an eating disorder, and that couldn't be further from the truth.
Okay, so what are things that what are signs and symptoms we should look out for among our friends, our sisters, brothers, children?
Well, I think some of them are the more obvious, like if someone loses a lot of weight or they start wearing loose, baggy clothing, but avoiding meal times or leaving meal times early, coming to social situations after food has been served. These all can be cues. Or people doing things to kind of sabotage their food, pouring a lot of salt or hot sauce as an example so that they're eating less.
Oh.
So those can be some signs. It can be people who exercise excessively or very preoccupied, almost obsessed with diet, to the point that even when they're sick, they don't let up on it. So there can be a lot of very small, subtle signs, and it's really important that if you notice them, to start a conversation.
How young, because you deal with children, so how young are you seeing an eating disorder in a child?
Well, there is an eating disorder called ARFID, or avoidant restrictive food intake disorder, which does present actually in very young children. And that's children who might have a fear of eating. Perhaps they don't want to throw up, or perhaps they have a sensory sensitivity. So we see children very young at Rady Children's Hospital, and with maybe the more typical eating disorder you think of, things like anorexia, that certainly can onset around even 9 years old. So very early.
And so how do we need to be talking to our daughters as they're growing up?
I think it's really important to emphasize that our body's role is to keep us healthy, that our bodies are strong, and to really set a good role model ourselves and be very cognizant if we're talking about our own bodies, talking about diets, talking about being healthy, the language that we use. And of course, if it's something that runs in your family, being even more proactive and encouraging just healthy lifestyles.
And so for women in their 40s and 50s, hormones are changing, and so their diet is maybe all over the place, and their weight can be going up, and so that's why they're having some form of eating disorder.
It can absolutely be a trigger. Going through hormonal changes in perimenopause and menopause can very much affect mental health, and for a woman that perhaps struggled with an eating disorder earlier in her life, it's a key time where they can have a relapse.
If someone's watching this right now and they need help, what should they do?
Well, reach out. No, they're not alone. There's amazing resources. The National Eating Disorder Association has excellent resources. The Alliance for Eating Disorders has a helpline and free support groups online. And of course, we have a lot of resources here in San Diego. At UCSD, we have some of the top eating disorder help in the country.
That's great.
So no, you're not alone. There's so much hope.
So much hope and so much help out there.
Yes.
Dr. Willow Jenkins, thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate you.
Thank you.